If you've played Roblox Battlegrounds games, you already know the feeling. You open a new one, and within 5 minutes it hits you. This is just the last game with a different skin. Same 4 moves, same dash, same awakening that heals you to full and plays a 10-second cutscene. The whole genre kind of blends together. About a year ago, I decided I wanted to build something that didn't feel like that. A week ago, I finally released it. And instead of feedback, I got accused of stealing the entire game. So I want to do 2 things in this video. I want to actually show you what I built and how I think about game design, because I'm proud of it. And somewhere in the middle, I'm going to clear up the accusation, calmly, with how Roblox actually works. Let's get into it. First, some context, because none of this makes sense without it. I didn't show up out of nowhere a week ago. I've been making Battlegrounds games for years, and most of them were rough. My first real project was Jujutsu Shenanigans. I started it when I knew almost nothing about development, and it kind of blew up in my face. I overhyped it massively. The game was a mess under the hood, and the community turned on me hard. There were entire documents written about everything wrong with it. Honestly, they weren't wrong. I just didn't have the skills yet. So I kept going. Next was Strongest Shenanigans, an attempt to take characters like Saitama, Genos, KJ, and put them in JJS-style combat instead of the usual Battlegrounds feel. It was built on an early version of the framework I still use today. It worked, but it was clunky. The optimization was bad. The movement wasn't fluid. It was just lackluster. I left it up anyway, and it quietly pulled a small player base, somewhere around 40 to 70 players at a time, and over 200,000 visits before I moved on. Then came Jujutsu Shenanigans. Mechanically, this is where things started feeling close to JJS. Fast, flowy combat, and a roster of Reimu, Sakuya, and Suika as an early access third. But it was held together with tape. It had constant bugs. You could get infinitely stunned in combos. And the destruction system I was using tanked the frame rate so badly the game was basically unplayable. So I made a hard call and halted it. And that's the thing about all these failures. Every single one taught me something I was missing. When I went back to the drawing board after Gensokyo, I went through my whole framework and fixed the embarrassing stuff. The hitbox handlers I'd written myself got major logic fixes. My core game loop, which runs on post-simulation, needed serious refinement, because I was spamming remote events basically every frame for player movement, which is a rookie mistake that wrecks performance. I'd forgotten basic things that quietly ruined Gensokyo, so I reworked the move system, the base combat, the stun handling, months of just fixing what past me got wrong. I say all this because I want you to understand. This game isn't something that appeared overnight. It's the 5th or 6th version of an idea I've been failing at and learning from for years. Okay, the accusation. About a week ago, a creator made a video claiming I stole the game, that Randomizer Shenanigans is literally just JJS's code with a new coat of paint. It went viral, a few million views across the videos, and the result was a wave of dislike bombing, harassment, and, I'm not exaggerating, death threats from a lot of people who, by their own comments, don't actually understand what they're mad about. They saw a video, believed it, and piled on.
Just when you think the JJS community couldn't get any more stolen, apparently the owner, Trish Dev, obtained the entire game's source code for only 250 Robux. I guess JJS's life and legacy are worth about $3, even if this has never come to light. It was painfully obvious.
I want to be really clear about something before I explain anything technical. Whatever you think of me or this game, threatening someone over a Roblox game is never okay. Now here's the actual truth, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, including the parts that don't flatter me. Yes, I acquired save instances of JJS more than one. I wanted to study the game from the inside, see how things were built. That part is true, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But here's where the accusation falls apart, and it comes down to how Roblox actually works. A save instance gives you a game's assets, its models, its animations, its sounds, its visual effects, the stuff that lives on the client. What it does not give you is the server scripts. And on Roblox, the server scripts are where the actual game lives. The combat logic, the hit detection, the systems that make the game function. Roblox never sends server scripts to players' devices. They physically cannot be saved, downloaded, or extracted from a save instance. It's not a matter of being a good or bad person. It's just not technically possible. So when someone says, I have all of JJS's scripts because I got a save instance, that's not how any of this works.
You stole JJS code, you thievy. It's a fake copy of Jujutsu. Let's not buy the code of another game. The game's code is stolen. Game is literally just like Jujutsu Shenanigans. They somehow got all of the source code of Jujutsu Shenanigans. Nothing unique about this at all.
Additionally, I will quickly go through every base move in my game and explaining where the animations and effects came from for that move to show how a large majority of this game is not derived from Jujutsu Shenanigans assets. when my game gets review bombed for the reason of stealing code, it just shows how little the average Roblox player actually understands about the platform. The visuals, sure. The brain of the game? That was never in there. I wrote my game's functionality myself. And if you want proof that isn't just me saying so, JJS is built on NIT, which is a specific networking framework for Roblox. My combat and core systems aren't built on NIT at all. I'll show you. Two games with completely different underlying architecture cannot be the same code, because the code isn't even organized the same way. On top of that, my game has its own bugs, its own quirks, its own weird logic, all of which are mine, and none of which line up with JJS. If I'd copy-pasted their game, I'd have their bugs, not my own. Now, the part I'll own, honestly. I did use and heavily modify assets. Some VFX and animations I worked from were JJS derived, and a lot more came from open source sources. There's a server called ROVFX, open source channels, a few commissioners' public portfolios. When I used an effect, I changed it heavily, building on it to make something that fit my game. And because my game is a randomizer where anything can fit, open source assets were honestly a goldmine for it. Using and modifying assets like this is an extremely normal part of how Roblox games get made. That's a completely different thing from stealing a game's code and functionality. And the code and functionality is what I was actually accused of, and what's actually false. Last technical note, then I'll move on. People will say client code can be extracted, and that's true. It can. But even if you pulled every client script out of a game, you still wouldn't have a working version of it, because the client only handles your inputs and visuals and requests to the server. The authoritative logic, the part that matters, stays server-side where you can't reach it. Okay, that's the boring part out of the way. Let's talk about the game. So back to the problem I opened with, the genre feeling samey. The more Battlegrounds games I made and played, the more I realized the core issue isn't slow updates or anything surface level. It's that almost every game is the same game. You pick a fixed character, you learn one fixed kit, and every character across every game basically plays and combos identically. Developers pour months into how cool an awakening cutscene looks, and put almost zero thought into actual game design. My answer to that was the whole reason this game exists. Make the moveset random. Every life, you get a different set of skills. The variety isn't a feature bolted onto a normal Battlegrounds game. It is the game. You can't reskin your way to this, because it's a fundamentally different format, not a different character roster. But here's the trap, and I want to be honest that I thought about it a lot. Pure randomness can feel terrible. There's a game that already tried roll for your moves and people hated it, because the randomness felt like a punishment and the moves weren't fun. So I built the game specifically to avoid that. First, the combat had to feel good regardless of what you roll. I wanted the feel of JJS specifically. Fast, flowy, with short stun times that actually encourage you to keep your combo going, and moves that are easy and satisfying to chain. Not the slower, passive, dash around and poke style some games have. To get the performance to support that, I switched my destruction system over to a heavily modified version of an open source module called Shatterbox, which I tuned for performance until the game ran smoothly with minimal frame drops. Close to JJS level, which for a solo project I'm genuinely proud of. Second, and this is the part I care about most, the moves themselves have actual mechanics, not just animations. This is where I went the complete opposite direction from how flashy can the cutscene be. A few examples. One special gives you an adaptation wheel that scales up the more you land the same type of attack, plus a parry on the same key that gives you iframes and launches people away. One trades you down to low HP in exchange for an automatic dodge passive. It's a real risk-reward identity, not a skin. One has a limit bar that builds across landed hits and pays off into a powerful slash. Some moves are two-stage, you load them, then fire, so there's timing and commitment to them. And I balanced as I went. For example, one move can footstool people, but I capped it to a single use so it can't loop into an infinite combo. That's the kind of detail nobody notices unless it's missing. To give the randomness some control, I came up with the R specials. These are deeper equipped kits you choose that sit on top of your random skills. So even though your skills are random, you always have a signature you picked and a build identity. It compounds the variety while making sure you're never fully at the mercy of the dice. That control layer is exactly what keeps the randomness feeling fun instead of frustrating. And the ultimates are where the creativity peaks. The one I'm proudest of is a domain that drops you into a Mario-themed minigame with random power-up payouts, and importantly, it can be broken and infiltrated from outside, the same way JJS domains work. So it's not a cheap, unbreakable, you win button. And one feature I'm weirdly attached to, NPCs. I rigged and animated them myself on custom rigs. The reason they exist is simple. The worst feeling in a new Battlegrounds game is loading in and having nobody to fight. So when the server's quiet, there are NPCs to fight, and they give half the kill credit and half the cash of a real player. That keeps the game playable when it's low population, without making farming bots better than actually fighting people. It's a small thing, but it solves a real problem that most games just ignore. So when you put it all together, Random movesets so it's never the same. JJS-style combat that feels good on any roll. Moves built around mechanics instead of cutscenes. A control layer so the randomness stays fun. Progression, and something to do even on an empty server. That's the game. It's not Battlegrounds with more moves. It's a different answer to the question the whole genre's been stuck on. This game is the thing I've been quietly failing toward for years. Every bad project, every rework, every embarrassing launch, it all fed into this one. If you actually want to see what it is, instead of what a video told you it is...
Don't listen to the hate. The game is genuinely good and not like other Battlegrounds games.